and konnichiwa. Plus, yobaseo. There we go. We'll hear the POLIT'AI CHI. Talk briefly and concisely about slideshow montage and the video highlights coming up. Pay attention to that. The segue to the poly round will make it clear. What are we talking about? Artificial intelligence, and which side of the coin is it going to end up? Some sort of Matrix, Terminator series, or do we get to that Star Trek future? That's what this is all about. Tim O'Reilly profiled on The Next Revolution. If you haven't seen that, I wholeheartedly recommend it. There he is. Your presence through watching is honored. Hi. And you gotta like Steve Hilton. There he is. He speaks the King's English, but not so overstated. I could do it a tad bit of a spell, but I can't do it all the time. So getting back to, yes, the Mark Zucker. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That's kind of a funny line here. But yeah, there's our segue. That's the reason for and to the polyrics. Roll.
How did you find this?
Someone filmed you on the freeway with one of these.
They all happen.
This is the world now. Plugged in, logged on, all the time. You can't live without it.
Genesis is a Trojan horse.
Alright. So, yeah, it's up to us as opposed to that little inset there. That's from Terminator Genesis. Got that last night. Wasn't aware of it per se. Don't remember it being released in the theaters. I'm sure it was, but I think that's one of the better ones. It's a great franchise. I'm pretty sure this will be the last of it, which is able to reinvent itself because this future is still in doubt. Is it a Matrix future or a Terminator future? I think Matrix is a little bit too far-fetched. But it looks kind of familiar as to what's going on nowadays. And people still fiddling around with trying to invent, quantum algorithmic acquiring artificial intelligence. At what point is there a quadratic equation which defines when that stuff becomes self-aware? No. There they are. Won't be things going on. As every cycle goes through on a megahertz scale, it acquires 10 to the third power, or something like that. Exponentially beyond our ability to model it in a spreadsheet or any other way. Alright. What do you say? Thanks for watching. Those silly DUIs are easily avoidable DUIs while you're out there. Mr. Steve Hilton, roll.
Some weird new postmodern ethical wavelength, and they'll be the ones programming the robots that'll soon take all the jobs. Maybe the robots will all look like Mark Zuckerberg, like those eyeless busts of Roman emperors. Our leaders don't even think about this technological revolution. They're too busy with transgender rights. In a moment, one of the world's top thinkers on technology and its impact on society joins us to talk jobs and artificial intelligence. But first, here's Anita Vogel with an overview of the debate.
It's currently clear and 73 degrees in Los Angeles.
We're used to asking our phone for the forecast or directions to where we're going. And if you want the news, just ask Alexa.
Tropical storm Nate, still growing.
How is it happening? It's something called artificial intelligence, AI for short, and it's already a part of our everyday lives.
Humans have created it, right? So it's artificial in that sense. So it's non-biologic. It's autonomous. That's the intelligence part, is it can do things on its own. It can make its own decisions.
AI expert William Welser says with more and more algorithms to work with, AI just keeps getting smarter.
Oftentimes humans, we don't know it. So we maybe think that we're dealing with another human, and in fact we're dealing with a machine.
AI is a fundamental risk to the existence of human civilization.
Tech giants like Elon Musk predict gloom and doom, with robots replacing factory workers and self-driving cars replacing human drivers, resulting in widespread unemployment. According to a brand new Pew Research poll, nearly 2/3 of Americans expect to struggle to find work in a world that could be filled with robots. But surprisingly, only 30% believe their own job is at risk. When asked what jobs people believe are most at risk, fast food and insurance workers top the list. Just last week, the Los Angeles Economic Development Council held a forum on how to train employers and employees to adapt to a new world.
Artificial intelligence will not manage itself, will not serve itself. Humans will still be needed to program. to create programs, to repair, to manage, to protect these systems.
And at the University of Southern California, a new institute to study artificial intelligence has students delving into the good it can do to address issues like security, health, and homelessness.
In Los Angeles, with the homeless shelters here, we are running AI algorithms in order to spread information about HIV by figuring out who are the right peer leaders.
When did we need an algorithm to do a human condition?
Still, the debate over the pros and cons of AI
public awareness
continues.
campaign, right?
Experts in the field say with so many big issues facing our world, why wouldn't we just ask a robot for help?
Perhaps AI can help us in solving these problems.
For the next revolution, Anita Vogel, Fox News.
Thanks, Anita. And we're joined now by Tim O'Reilly, the founder of O'Reilly Media and author of WTF, What's the Future and Why It's Up to Us, which, by the way, is a brilliant book about everything to do with technology. There's so much to talk about, Tim, from your book, but this particular question of AI and the economy and jobs, I'd love to focus on that. There's this story out there, the robots are coming, they're going to destroy jobs on a scale we haven't seen. What's your take?
I'm really sick and tired of hearing that the robots are going to take our jobs. They're only going to do that if that's what we tell them to do. And a lot of what we have to think about is, how are we telling them that? Why are we telling them that? And what do we do about it?
So well, let's just take some of those examples, some of the examples of manufacturing jobs that people worry will be displaced. What's the argument there? How can we tell the robots to operate in a way that doesn't destroy those jobs?
The thing we've got wrong about robots is we think of this object as the robot. The robot is the system, and we are actually living inside the future AI. It's the strongest face of it is not actually sites like Google and Facebook. It's our financial markets. What you have to understand, these are all vast digital systems that actually shape human society. And we see it with Facebook. We understand that Facebook was saying, well, we're going to give you content that's more engaging. They didn't mean to create hyper-partisanship and fake news, but the algorithms were gamed. Our financial markets are just like that. We came up with this idea that the thing to optimize for is stock price. And we didn't realize that that meant get rid of people. There are costs to be eliminated.
So how do you change that? What are some of the things that you would like to see change going?
Well, I think there are a lot of policy interventions, but I think the first thing we have to realize is that we believe in the divine right of capital today as we once believed in the divine right of kings.
Okay.
And we have to stop believing that. Just like...
By capital, you mean the kind of shareholders, the owners of businesses,
That's right.
rather than the workers?
That's right. We believe that all of the fruits of productivity belong to the owners of companies, and that they don't need to be shared by society, that they don't need to be shared by by the workers. And so therefore get rid of the workers.
And do you think that's a belief, or do you think that's an accidental byproduct of the way technology has changed the economy?
Well, you have to understand that look around. I always think of this great quote from Larry Summers, where he refuted the efficient market hypothesis by saying, there are idiots, look around.
Right.
And I say, look, when we say
idiots on Wall Street, just like there are everywhere else.
Right. Society. And we have to understand that all of these systems, we ultimately bake in these instructions. And we don't quite understand what we're asking for.
So just to sort of finish that point before I bring in the panel, are you arguing that really the point about the way to make sure that these technological advances benefit everyone and not just the rich is actually not so much to do with the technology, it's to do with the fundamentals of the way we organize capitalism and
That's right.
and politics. Okay,
but yeah,
that's a very deep point, which I agree. By the way, I read something just today, which Crystal, I want you to jump in on this because last time we were around this table, and you missed it, but we had this passionate debate about AI and jobs, and that's why I particularly wanted to bring you together with Tim. Just something today, a data point, which was that I think since 1972, the average American wage in those 44 years has fallen by 2% in real terms. Amazing.
It's stunning. And, you know, we talk about, oh, the technology of the future is going to displace workers. It's already happening. You know, I'm close with Congressman Tim Ryan, who represents Youngstown, Ohio. Used to be a great steel town, still a great town. And the steel mills, Latsville, one of the largest ones, had 20,000 workers there, middle-class jobs, union jobs. And at great expense to the taxpayers and using political capital, they brought a steel mill, billion-dollar steel mill, back to this same site, making more steel than they ever did, but instead of 20,000 workers, now it's 400, right? So this reality is here. And I think what is so interesting, what Tim's saying, is that you have to make sure that in this future, which can be amazing because working in a steel mill is a very dignified job, but that is a hard job. Working in a coal mine, very dignified job. No coal miner wants to send his son into the mines. So it can be great if you have more leisure, if you don't have to do those dangerous and dirty jobs. But we have to make sure that it's not only this small crust of people who is benefiting from those technological innovations.
So, Chris, I think that you know, like I sort of broadly put you on the side of the political argument that sort of gets and appreciates the kind of the particular Donald Trump contribution to this argument to elevate the position of working people who've been affected. What's your take?
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, look, technology is coming. Technology has been displacing workers since somebody invented the lever or the wheel, and that's fine. And in fact, we want to encourage that. We want to innovate. We need to innovate, or China will eclipse us as a world economic and political and military power. So that's necessary. The question is, what do we do? And the first thing we have to do is say, who's we? And for Americans, that means the United States, and that means what does the American government do, and that is absolutely essential.
It sounds to me like what you're saying is that that's not going to happen without some pretty fundamental assault on the whole structure of the way we organize the economy.
One of the things I struggle with, and this goes really to the heart of you know, the subject of this show. We have a set of tired old prescriptions for how we're going to deal with this. We need taxes to be lower. Well, I look at that and I say, well, that's actually just feeding the problem, because in fact all of the proceeds go to the people who are gaining already from the system as it is. The Democrats say, well, we need to lower taxes. And I go, no, actually we need to understand what to tax. What are the things, you know, this is a concept they call Pigovian taxes, which are you tax the negative externalities.
Yeah,
and the negative
is not good.
But I have to say, I'm a bit confused. It seems to me that your argument is with Adam Smith and the invisible hand and the system being a capitalist system that does drive innovation, lowering costs, lowering labor costs. And I guess I'm a bit confused. It seems like jobs have been lost by automation. You just have to walk into a CVS when you have to ring up your own things and there isn't a cashier there anymore.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because there's some really interesting work on this subject by Michael Mandel of the Progressive Policy Institute. Turns out there have been more jobs created in warehousing and delivery in the past few decades than are lost in retail. And those jobs actually pay better. And it's interesting. I have this amazing experience at Amazon of just understanding how many more people they're hiring, because you know what they're telling their robots to do? You know, they put 45,000 robots into their warehouses and they added 250,000 people. Wow. Because they said, we're going to use those robots to do more. We're going to try to deliver faster. They didn't say we're going to just use those robots to cut costs. And that goes back to this central idea that we're giving our economy the wrong instructions when we say cut costs, optimize for capital, ignore people.
I think this is the central debate in the economy, which is who benefits from the big changes that are happening. I'm sorry, we've run out of time today. Thank you so much, Tim. Really, really appreciate it. And your book, which everyone should get. Honestly, it's a brilliant book.